never thought I'd die that night. Not like that. Not so suddenly. You see, I was a mafia hitman, a cold, calculated killer for hire. The kind of man who didn't flinch when pulling the trigger, who took pride in being invisible and unstoppable. I had grown up in a world where power meant survival, and survival meant taking lives without remorse. That night was supposed to be routine, a quick job in a shadowy alley, no witnesses, no mistakes. I'd done hundreds before, and every single one had ended with the same cold efficiency. I was good at what I did, or so I thought. As I stepped into the dark street, the silence was deafening. My target was unaware, his back turned. I raised my gun, steady as always, and pulled the trigger. But fate had other plans. Suddenly, a volley of bullets ripped through the night, not from my gun, but from a hidden enemy. Pain exploded in my chest like 1,000 shards of glass. My vision blurred, my legs buckled. The cold air rushed into my lungs as I collapsed onto the cracked pavement, feeling the life draining from me. The world faded fast. Sounds muffled. Colors dimmed. My breath became shallow. The darkness wasn't just around me, it was inside me, growing, swallowing, claiming. I expected nothingness, an end. But instead, I found myself drifting weightless and alone in a vast black void that seemed alive with a hunger I couldn't escape. I was being dragged, pulled toward a place of endless shadow and despair. No voice answered my silent screams. No light guided me. Then, piercing through that living darkness, a radiant light appeared, blinding, yet warm. A figure emerged from the glow. The glow itself seemed alive, a living presence of mercy and power. He reached out his hand to me. It was Jesus. He wasn't the angry judge I expected, but a savior full of compassion standing between me and the darkness that wanted to claim my soul. The darkness was relentless, cold, and hungry, a swirling abyss that threatened to consume every ounce of me. It wasn't just the absence of light. It was alive, whispering every sin I had committed, every life I had destroyed. The shadows clawed at my spirit with merciless fingers, dragging me toward a fate I had long feared but never imagined facing. Every mistake, every lie, every act of violence screamed around me like the echoes of a nightmare. I felt the weight of every bullet I fired, every innocent soul shattered by my hands. The darkness was my past, my sins made manifest, and it wanted to pull me deeper, to bury me forever in regret and despair. But then, cutting through the chaos and despair, came a light. Not faint or flickering, but pure, radiant, and fierce. It wasn't a light to blind or burn, but a warmth that filled every corner of the void with hope. There he was, Jesus standing tall, glorified, yet tender. His eyes were full of mercy and sorrow, seeing me not as a monster, but as a lost soul in desperate need of rescue. The darkness snarled, trying to lash out, to reclaim me. But Jesus raised his hand, and the shadows recoiled. The light pushed them back, creating a space where love and grace could breathe. I was caught between two worlds, the crushing weight of my sins and the overwhelming power of divine mercy. I wanted to surrender to the darkness, to give in and accept my fate. But the hand of Jesus held me steady, his presence a lifeline stronger than any chain. In that eternal moment, I understood I had a choice to be consumed or to be saved. The light didn't just blind, mate revealed everything. My entire life flashed before my eyes, but not like a simple memory. It was a judgment of my soul, a crystal clear reflection of who I had been and what I'd done. I saw the faces of the men I had killed. I heard the screams of families torn apart by the violence I helped sow. Each act of bloodshed was laid bare, every moment of cold calculation exposed. It wasn't just a tally of sins, it was the raw, brutal impact of my choices. But alongside that darkness, the light revealed something else, moments I had long forgotten. The rare times I showed mercy, the brief glimmers of kindness I buried beneath layers of cruelty, the small gestures that, even in my brokenness, hinted at the man I could have been. I felt the weight of my guilt crushing down on me. It was unbearable. I wanted to hide, to look away, but the light forced me to confront everything. Jesus stood silently beside me, not condemning, but offering compassion deeper than I could comprehend. His eyes held a question: would I choose redemption? The choice was mine, to embrace the light and seek forgiveness, or to fall back into the shadows forever. I wanted to run toward the light, but fear and pride held me back. In the silence of that radiant space, Jesus extended his hand to Mano as a punishment, but as an invitation. His offer was clear. Leave behind the darkness, the violence, and the pain, and step into a new life of grace and purpose. I hesitated. My past was a cage I thought impossible to escape. Pride told me I was beyond saving, that no mercy could reach someone like me. But the tenderness in his eyes shattered those lies. It was the kind of love that seeks out the lost, that waits patiently for the sinner to turn home. He spoke not in words, but in a profound understanding that resonated in my soul. I forgive you. Come and be made new. I realized this was my moment, a crossroads between death and life, despair and hope. I could reject him and fall forever into the darkness, or accept his mercy and begin a journey toward healing. With trembling hands, I took his hand. In that instant, the darkness recoiled, and the light surged within me like a fire cleansing every scar. Jesus wasn't just offering forgiveness. He was offering transformation, a new purpose, a chance to live beyond the sins that once defined me. The next thing I knew, I was falling back into my broken body, lying in the alley, cold and motionless. The sounds of sirens and shouting filled my ears as medics rushed to save me. My chest tightened painfully as I gasped for air, each breath a fight. I opened my eyes to harsh hospital lights and faces full of urgency. Doctors told me I had been dead for minutes, that my survival was a miracle. But I knew the truth. I had been given mercy beyond any human understanding. The physical pain was overwhelming, but something inside me burned brighter. The light I had seen, the presence of Jesus, was no longer a distant memory, but a living flame guiding me. In the days and weeks that followed, I faced the ghosts of my past. Memories of violence, betrayal, and broken lives haunted me relentlessly. The faces of those I had hurt demanded justice and forgiveness. Yet, amidst the torment, I found strength in the promise I had been given. The mercy that saved me was not just for survival, but for change. Every night, I prayed for the courage to walk away from the life I once knew, for the strength to seek forgiveness and rebuild. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time I felt hope. Returning to the world of the living was both a blessing and a burden. My past, the life I had led as a hit, man clung to me like a shadow, relentless and unforgiving. The faces of those I had killed haunted my dreams, and the weight of my sins threatened to drag me back into the darkness. But in the quiet moments, the light I had touched in that near-death experience flickered within me like a beacon. It was a new kind of strength, born not from violence or fear, but from mercy and grace. I began to seek out those who could help me understand this transformation. I read scriptures, attended church services cautiously, and prayed, sometimes hesitantly, sometimes with a desperate hunger I had never known before. Every step toward faith was a battle against the old life and the fears it left behind. The mafia world was unforgiving, and I knew my past wouldn't simply vanish. But the presence of Jesus, felt deep in my heart, gave me the courage to begin walking a new path. My conversion was not a public spectacle. It was a quiet, daily commitment struggle between the darkness I came from and the light I was chasing. Changing wasn't easy. The world I left behind, the violence, the fear, the lies didn't disappear overnight. Friends I once trusted turned their backs or threatened me when I began pulling away. Old habits tried to creep back, tempting me into the shadows I was trying to escape. But each day, the light of Jesus pushed me forward. I found strength in prayer and the support of a small group who welcomed me without judgment. Slowly, I learned what it meant to live not by fear, but by faith. I sought forgiveness from those I could, and though some doors remained closed, I kept trying. My past was a heavy chain, but with every step toward redemption, it grew lighter. I began sharing my story, not to boast or shock, but to show that no one is beyond hope. That even a hitman, steeped in darkness, can be transformed by the mercy of God. It's a battle I fight every day, but I no longer fight alone. Today, I live a life unrecognizable from the one I once led. The darkness that once defined me has been replaced by a mission fueled by mercy and grace. I speak quietly but with conviction about the love of Jesus that reached into the deepest pit of my soul and pulled me out. I don't pretend my past doesn't exist, it does, and it shaped me. but it no longer controls me. Every day I choose to walk in the light, to be a witness that no one is beyond saving, no soul too far gone. If you're watching this and feel trapped by your own darkness, know this. The same light that saved me is reaching for you too. It is fierce, unyielding, and waiting. My story isn't about death. It's about life, the new life I was given by mercy, and the purpose I now live for. And that purpose? To shine a light in the darkest places, so others might find their way home.